This will be joyful book recommendation video. I don't think it's all-time favorites because I have much more favorites. But I just watched a video where a person was talking about joy and how sometimes joy is equated to be naive or silly. And that she's Booktober, so she's talking how sometimes it's much easier to hate on a book. Like, if something's wrong with book, I also can talk for hours why I hate it. I can have very deep analysis. I hate from the very deep understanding of the materials. And once the book is good, sometimes it's like, well, it's good. And like, there are actually a lot of books I gave 5 stars, but not all of them I can recommend. Not all of them I do actually remember what they're about. Like, I enjoyed it a lot, but it was for a long time ago. But these 3, it's, first of all, also not all books have the emotion of joy. A lot of them, maybe I cried, but it's still great book. Maybe I wasn't that even excited, but it's really good piece of literature. You know, like sometimes, for example, Dracula. It's not really that of a great book. The Bram Stoker can talk to say like one sentence, and he will use 3 paragraphs and we'll talk about what's the beauty and religion and how sexuality should be repressed. But I'm reading this book again and again because of its culture impact. Yeah, there. So these 3 books are, first of all, for me, they are full of joy. They are easily recommendable, and they're really great. I don't have any critique to them, like at all. Usually I'm very good at critiquing. If you need to hate on anyone, if you need to find anything wrong with anything, I'm your person. So let's start. I don't know what to start with, but probably from more well-known name, Howl's Moving Castle. I watched a cartoon a long time ago. By the way, it was in a cinema. I didn't know what Ghibli, what it is, what is even anime. It was like in a cinema. We came to the cinema and there is no place to see it. There is like no place to go or pay even. And turns out they decided to show it just outside, like on one of those ad monitors. And it was really noisy, like it wasn't like cinema experience. I just was sitting on the couch in the waiting area, and me and like some other people were watching. It was really noisy, but I loved it. It's very beautiful, it's very powerful message. I obsessed with Miyazaki. Anyway, that was cartoon. So when I knew that there is a book, I was, first of all, I don't always know whether I will like book based on the movie. Almost never. However, I already saw some of the like comparisons of the book and the movie, and in the movie much more calm, it's much more distinguished, I would say. And I saw that in the book, both characters are much more chaotic, and there is like, basically I knew I will like this. However, I was avoiding it reading for so long. Actually, it's my first book, second edition of this book I have. I bought first edition, a bit like older one, it's purplish one, so long ago. Before I had very good English, so I could read it, but I couldn't read it as fast as I usually read, so I was postponing. And then this edition came out and like, I need new edition. And then I was almost for a year postponing reading this book because I knew that I would like it. So I needed like a perfect time, no interruptions, no anxiety, certain vibe around. So finally I read it and it's amazing. It's technically a children's book, and often children's books are a bit too simple, too naive. Not this. It's amazing. Even if you watched cartoon, it's still completely different experience. It's still completely different enough that it's interesting to follow. It's joyful. I loved like it's emotional joy. It has like much deeper theme, and one of the reasons I'm making this video because I do want to be able to analyze and recommend books better, but I don't think I want to make analysis, because first of all, some of the analysis will be spoilery. Maybe I will do a second video, but yeah, it's joyful. It's just interesting story if you like fantasy or just plot lines. There is love, so it's not like romance, but there is love, and I will read it again and again. It's like pure joy. It's very simple. I wasn't stressed at any of the point. Also, there are like events happening, so I recommend it based on vibes. Yes, if you watched any of the Ghibli movies and you enjoyed, especially House of Moving Castle, especially recommended. But I feel like this cover especially good in describing the vibe of the book. It's joyful, and that's why it's one of the three I'm recommended today. Second, non-fiction, for those that not big fans of fantasy, is this book. Why I pick it up? I think just because of the cover. And it was lying for a year because it's called Spring Cannot Be Cancelled. And I didn't read it in a spring, and then I'm like, well, we will wait for the second spring. It's by David Hockney and Martin Gayford. And it's a bit hard to explain. There are another reason why I took it, because there are a lot of images, art, and I wanted to be inspired, and I was. It's returned my desire to live and desire to create. It's not instruction on how to create, but David Hockney, I didn't know who he is, but he actually very famous modern contemporary, probably contemporary is more correct word, but like he's still alive today artist. And he has galleries, like he has other books about, I haven't read them, but however, this book is basically his conversation. It's written by his friend, journalist, and David Hockney is a bit of an older age. He moved to the rural area of France. It was somewhere during COVID, and he's talking about different, it's almost like having conversation with him or reading his journal. He talks about being outside, about how he views galleries, etc. For example, in this, he describes that he started drawing on iPad, and there is, actually this is one of the images, like you can see that it's drawn on digital, like, but it's so joyful. Yes, you can see that it's not like oils, that it's drawn on like iPad or something like that, but it's an amazing image. And there is one of rain which I really liked. Like, look at this. This guy is just personification of joy. And I was, I don't know, I don't want to say depressed, but I was a bit feeling down for quite a while. I'm pretty sure I had an anxiety at that point, and this just made me feel alive, made me feel to create, not for the sake of like selling art or because it's useful or monetizable, but because creation is beautiful. And it's almost like hearing advice, but not advice on how to correctly use proportions, but more like how to experience life. Like, for example, at one point he talks that you don't actually need to see something new every day. I'm pretty sure he talks. It was, sorry if I'm lying to you, I think I don't, it happened, but just in case not, at least it's the vibe that was there. That drawing something again and again, like the same place, because place changes. Like even if it's like a tree, it still grows. So we see what inspired him, we see some of his sketches. Yeah, there are a lot of his iPad sketches, and it's like, it made me feel alive. So it's very joyful non-fiction. I am not big fan of non-fiction sometimes because it feels like it should have been an article and they wrote the whole book, or it's very preachy, or it ignores a lot of other nuance of life for different people. This feels joyful. It's not really advice. It's like sitting outside during beautiful spring day, and someone is drawing, someone's drinking tea, and you don't even have conversation. You maybe even listen to other people have conversation, and you just enjoy life. So this is how I feel about this book. This book reads and feels as it looks. I didn't read this in a one sitting as some books I read it chapter by chapter, and it's just joyful experience. I have not reread this year because I'm afraid I will read it too often. I don't know, that's probably not very realistic fear, but just looking at this, just knowing this exists, made me happy. So want something like non-fiction, inspirational, absolutely recommend. And first of all, it's not finished. Second of all, it's not one book. I think currently 12 volumes exist. Is Apothecary Diaries. It's a, I don't want to lie, I think, yes, it's Japanese light novel. What is light novel? It's, if you know manga, there is manga on this, by the way, but I'm talking about light novel. It's like stories that usually start being written on the internet, so it doesn't have like volumes. Maybe I'm lying, but usually it's very long. There is no very typical like Western media storyline when there is like beginnings and there is some culmination and there is end. Usually sometimes they've written like forever. I hope you're getting what I mean. So the story is set in like this fusion a bit of Chinese historical period, Japanese historical period, and a bit of a fantastical historical period. No magic is here, but not everything is historically accurate. Sorry, cat always need to be in the center of attention. And the main character is Mao Mao. She is stolen and sold into the palace to be one of the servants. Well, technically she's not stolen. She is like, it's historical context. Like she's not a slave or anything, but she has to stay there and work at Emperor's palace. That's not that important. She is apothecary. She's really into poisons, etc. Here's a blurb. A palace servant trained in herbal medicine finds herself at the heart of imperial intrigue in this enthralling period mystery. And she has this like very personality, so she's very excited about poisons, apothecary things. But about people, about politics, about anything, she's not excited. Like at all. And she's very like calm person. This is, by the way, romance, but no romance happened till 12th of the book, from what I read. Like we see it's very slow burn. Basically in this relationship, if there are like stereotypical guy figure and girl figure, she's a guy. Relationship in terms of that. She's not actually interested. But anyway, it starts that she's a palace girl and he notices that someone uses something that is poisonous. I don't want to. And she leaves a hint. And there is another character who is eunuch. I'm not sure I pronounce it right, but one of the palace servants. There are more to his character, but no spoilers. And he finds that someone discovered this and he finds her. And she's very smart and she has this like detective-y. She's very good at noticing and figuring out stuff. Plus she's apothecary. And the cat wanted to be the center of attention. Please ignore any background noise. But she's not really interested in politics. And he involves her and we very clearly see that Jinshi, that the character falls like in love with her. We very clearly see that he's interested in her. She ignores, and he's very beautiful. That's important for the story. That's why I say like, that was one of the reasons that it got interested me in the book, because someone describes that in the relationship, she's a guy and he is a beautiful lady. And we know that she actually interested in him in some form, because she constantly refers to his beauty that can topple like countries. It's a pity he is not a girl. And like most of the story is like different detective stories. Some of them have overarching plot and some of these are political intrigue, but basically something happened and Mao figures out like what happened, how happened. So it's like detective parts that I love, but they're hilarious. It's not heavy because often I don't like reading some detectives or thrillers or even romance because I'm stressed. I'm stressed for the main characters. I'm stressed like, will someone die? Here I'm enjoying, I'm laughing. While it's not perfect world, there are like brothel, for example, and she was raised near it. She never was a prostitute, but also we are shown that that's the real world. It's not perfect. There are political intrigues and so on, but still it's not shown in the way that wants me be very sad because life is unfair and like there are and I would would really recommend you try at least first one. I think it's really fun. It's a bit like open-ended after in the first one she leaves a palace. In the second book she returns to the palace to the Chinchi. But I would really recommend. It's so fun to read, it's so fast to read, and I feel joy. It's not finished. I think in Japanese, author finished at the point where they finally got together, but she decided to continue writing because she wanted to actually explore their relationship besides actually admitting feelings to each other. It took them more than 10 volumes to admit feelings to each other, and usually it's very annoying when it happens in the stories. But here it's actually like once every 1 or 2 volumes, some progress happens in their relationship. There are also so much hilarious content and cosplay. So yeah, this is also just makes me happy. I even postponed reading. I have 2 more volumes, 7s and 8s, I think, because I don't want to read all of them and then have to wait for like half a year for a new volume to be translated in English. So yeah, I think I will actually try to talk about my favorite books more, about joyful books more, because I love to hate on books, and I think I will record next video about books I hate, if I still have any of them, because usually I get rid of the books I hate. But actually it was fun to talk about reasons I loved this. So, do you have any recommendation? Have you read them? Do you have the same opinion as I am? If you read this and maybe you can recommend me some other, I would appreciate. This is still small channel, so if you watched it, I love you. I don't know you. You can introduce yourself, but I love you.